Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of the Bloody Legends with Jai That Aussie Metal Guy and Jim Taylor. Make sure you're a bloody legend and hit that like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the great content from these bloody legends. G'day. Hey, how are you all going? It is time for another edition of the Bloody Legends with myself, Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, and my awesome, ever-reliable co-host, Jim Taylor. Cheers for joining me,
brother.
Jim. I'm good, brother.
Indeed, sir.
Thank you very much. Today we have a very special guest. We have Brandon Mendenhall of the Mendenhall Experiment. Brendan, thank you so much for joining me, my friend.
What's up, guys? Happy to be here.
Sir.
Absolute pleasure.
We're honored to have you, brother.
Yeah, dude. Absolute pleasure. Jim, you hit off for the first question, dude, if you like, my friend.
Oh, wow. I'm teeing off tonight.
It's me. Yeah, you go.
Brandon, your style, first off, you're an incredible guitarist. And let's start with influences. Who did it for you that made you pick up an instrument?
And bands like Korn and Pantera, Nine Inch Nails, like they're forever like my holy trinity. And then like, you know, the early White Zombie stuff, Rob Zombie, how he incorporated all the monster stuff. I'm a big horror movie fan, so like I used to really grab with that stuff as a kid.
So
that's awesome.
It is. What is also awesome, Brandon, is I was watching a bit of your story with the documentary Mind Over Matter and finding out a little bit more about your story and how you kind of picked up guitar and started it, man. It was very, very inspiring, man. And for those that haven't seen it yet, please go out and check it out. But would you mind telling us a little bit about kind of your journey and how this started for you? Because it is really a really inspiring journey and what you've overcome to kind of where you are today.
So yeah, like in short, I was born into the Midwestern part of the country, south of Chicago, Illinois, and I was born with cerebral palsy. And for those that aren't familiar with what cerebral palsy is, it's a neuromuscular disorder disease that, in my case, I contracted it at birth due to lack of oxygen when I was born. So my body went into this kind of stroke kind of state. And that's where the cerebral palsy was a side effect of that, pretty much. So in my case, it affects the left side of my body. So if you think in terms of guitarists, you know, your left hand, if you're a right-handed player, your left hand is where you do all your chords and your notation stuff, right? So when I was younger, because of my disability, everybody told me, oh, I'd never really have an opportunity to do or achieve much at all in life, let alone be a musician with his own rock band with a personal message. You know?
That's amazing.
So what was that like, learning to play guitar? Because I've seen kind of the, you know, as we were saying, I won't give too much away, but as you come home, it was kind of things would change. It was a very, very different generation than compared to now. It kind of would have been very, very tough, I suppose, for you at that time. And I think music would have been a huge crutch for you to kind of lean in and kind of help you as well, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I always tell people, that I believe music is. It is. It's a form of therapy, and that's why it resonates with people of all different kind of backgrounds and ethnicities, like all over the world, because it becomes the common language that connects us all together. And for a lot of people like myself, it's therapy, you know. And like you said, the climate now, as opposed to the climate when I was growing up, it's different. There's more inclusion. There's more acceptance now, but when I was growing up, it was pretty black and white. It was pretty brutal. It was like, just, you know, don't look at them, don't interact with them because you don't want to insult him, but that kind of just made me an outsider, and people
Right.
like myself, like disabilities, we were kind of pushed to the side.
Yeah, I'm glad everything's changed. And I was having this conversation the other day that how accepting the metal community is, and that's why it's kind of we have that skull, because regardless, there is no color, there is no ethnicity, there is no male,
Right.
female. It's just this heavy metal skull, horns out, and that's something that I've been very proud of with the metal community, being accepting all the way through. You know, from the early artists kind of laying these roots, like people like artists like Judas Priest making a stand, and other people with disabilities coming out. And you know, Judas Priest being a gay artist at the time was, you know, huge at the
Right.
time, and the metal community just accepted him. And same with all these other artists, and that's something I've been very, very proud of as a metalhead myself.
Well, the metal community have always first and foremost been a community of that, like, you know,
Outsiders.
the unwanted toys, so to speak. So I mean,
Yeah.
and that's that the metal community would embrace people like Hellfood, people like myself, you know, that are, you know, being ourselves but seeking acceptance from others.
Yeah, a couple more things on the disability side of things, because I've got a hidden disability myself, but it's really great to see how far the community has come with supporting disabled people, but there are still avenues that kind of need to be improved in places like venues and that. How do you feel about that kind of thing, dude? Just quickly, man, because I've noticed it myself more so now going to these venues. I've really got to start thinking about what the venue is like as well.
Oh man, I've noticed it a lot over the past 2 weeks. We just came off the Stanford Ourselves tour with Scream at the Sky, and we started in Buffalo, New York, and we ended in Texas on Saturday night here. And like an extra caveat to my story right now is normally I walk on unassisted. My cerebral palsy, like I always have a limp, and I've kind of marketed on guys like limping it easy, you know, tongue in cheek, making, you know, lightheartedness out of it. But before I left for this tour, my bass player and I were part of a local bowling league.
Well,
Like I injured myself. I pulled like my groin muscle. So I've been down for like 6, and I can't walk. I've got a walker. So I'm like, I did the entire tour using a walker, and my band had to help me in and out of these venues and up and down, on and off these different stages. And like, I very quickly came accustomed to like, or attuned to what venues were ADA compliant and what venues weren't, you know, because when you're stuck in that situation, you're like, yeah, this isn't very disability friendly, now is it?
No, I've noticed
right.
that too with
Right.
so I kind of finally went to my first gig post the surgeries that have put everything in place for me, and that was one of the big things for me as well, going to these gigs, making sure there's disabled access, and then also using disabled facilities as well. When all the able-bodied people are lining up at the disabled facilities, I was like, dude, come on, people.
Like,
Yeah, man,
oh
you gotta
man.
go. And I concur, man, like, especially with all these truck stops that we would go to, like, after the gigs and stuff. Like, some of the restrooms were like that small. I could barely get the walker in. I'm like, dude,
Right.
I couldn't imagine people in a wheelchair. They have a really hard time.
That would.
Did did you mention you disability? What did you say your disability was? I
I
guess
had
maybe.
multiple surgeries for cancer last year, and I've got a
Yeah.
ileostomy in at the moment as well, so it kind of makes things really hard as well.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I can.
That's it. Let's come back to guitar, Brandon. So tell me a little bit about your journey with guitar. Tell me about like kind of when it started getting serious for you, when you said, you know, I want to take this further. I'm comfortable with where I'm going. Tell me a little bit about those kind of first initial steps for you and starting the Mendenhall Experiment.
Yeah.
I think me, it's like, you know, as a kid growing up, like everybody goes through that phase of their life where they're like, okay, what do you want to do in life? What do you want to be? And it kind of always, when I was a kid, everything that I wanted to do came down to like physicality, like either playing sports or like, you know, I wanted to be a firefighter. That's heavily physical. You know? And NHL, I was obsessed with hockey when I was into like BMX for a long time. And just a bunch of different physical caveats. And then I got, no, you can't do it. Your body's not built for it. And to be fair, it wasn't. But, you know, you don't like to be told no when you're a kid. You're like, I can do anything, right? So when it came to color, once I found it, I kind of dug my feet in and I was like, nope, I'm doing this no matter what I have to go through or what I have to do to be successful at this. This is what I want. And I kind of knew that and I stuck to it. And like, as I progressed along, you know, things got really serious for me, like with the guitar. Once I was out here or out in Los Angeles where I live now, and everything kind of fell away from me from the recording industry because I wanted to make records first, and I was interning at studios in Hollywood. That kind of fell apart for me, and I turned the page and went back to guitar, and I was like, okay, I want to take this seriously as a career and do it. And really, it all kind of took shape for me when I figured out like my style of playing. When I figured out I could drop tune the guitar to like a drop tune and play the one finger kind of bar chords or slack chords, some people call it. That opened up for me creatively so that I could write songs. And once I could put my creative effort into songwriting, coupled with the production knowledge that I gained from going to college for all that, that's when things really took shape. And then I was like, well, I want to do something really positive. So I took my story and my plight of having a disability and said, well, I want to help other people and raise disability awareness with it. And that's where the name came from. The Mendenhall Experiment. Okay. It was a literal experiment. Like, can the guy with cerebral palsy create a band and then elevate that band to a national level of success?
Dude,
which I think
and you have
that, but now it's, you know, continuing to push the bar higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, if you can reach, you go, Jim.
No. If you can reach, go ahead.
Yeah, if you can reach, you know, at least one person with a disability and make them see that it's okay, you can chase your dreams instead of where you had, you know, growing up where people were like, no, you can't do that, Brandon. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that because of your disability.
Right.
Now it's coming around where it's like, yes, you can do it. If you want to do it, go for it, grab it. And is that kind of a little bit of the message you're kind of pushing across too as well?
That's exactly it. And it's just using my story as an example and a precedence for other people in the disabled community or those affected by people in the disabled community. Like, you can do it. You can be artistically expressive. Like, you can follow your dreams. Because look at all the hardships and everything that I went through, but look what I've built. And it's given my story and what we do musically is given a whole like region of people like new hope. And that's really what it's about. Like what you were saying was, if I could inspire one person to go after it. And I always said that too. Like, if I just inspired one person, it would be all worth it, right? But now I can say I've inspired like hundreds of people. I have so many testimonials from kids with disabilities that will hit me up on social media and go, dude, I play guitar because of you.
Dude.
I'm so humbled by that.
Yeah, dude. That's
being better than, and all I can say is thank you. Thank you for being yourself and going for it.
Exactly.
That's just,
it's amazing, isn't it? So tell us a little bit about kind of your breakthrough. You kind of, you know, you had the Battle of the Bands at the Warp Tour, and it kind of started to kind of really roll into things there. And you're talking about your influences earlier on, and then you end up working with James Monkey as well. You've got
Monkey,
Danny Lohner,
Chris Garza, man.
Yeah, Chris Garza, dude. Some of these people, no doubt, you grew up listening to, and then you're like, man, I get to work with these people and learn off them as well.
That's like you said. You said the most important thing. I get to learn from these people, and that's exactly what I did. That's exactly the mindset that I took into each one of those featured recording sessions where I got to work with Monkey, and then I got to work with Danny, and then, you know, most recently Chris Garza. Me and Chris are like best friends, dude. Like, that dude's my homie. Dude. We're close. Like, on a musical level, it was like, how can I tap in to his skill set? What can I learn from him? You know, I guys ever saw that movie, the documentary "It Might Get Loud" with Jack Black?
Yes.
Not Black, but right? Jack White. Sorry.
Jack White. Yeah. The wrong figment.
Jack White, he's in a limo in New York City, and he's headed to a soundstage to jam with Jimmy Page and who was the other guy that was in on that session? I don't remember. It was Page and someone else. Maybe? I don't know. It was another big name, like big guitarist, and he goes, I'm gonna go in there and steal all these guys' secrets. I'm gonna get them to teach me what they did to be who they are. And that's kind of like the mentality of getting to work with somebody that I admire like that. And it's been cool, man. I mean, that's what you dream as a kid, you know. That's why I got into this. It was like, I want to work with my heroes and have that level of respect.
Yeah, yes, sir. And that's the thing, these people, they're just down to earth people. Like, you sit here, and I've had the opportunity to interview a couple of people that were my heroes as well. And they're just, the metal community is such an open, loving, arms out community. Like, I found some long lost family and a long lost second cousin. He's like, you're not at all what I'd expected, because we're just so open as well.
We're just like we're just cool, regular, everyday, like down to earth people, and like that's what you just come to realize once you go through this 3-ring circus that we call the music industry. You just realize, because like us, they've just got different levels of success. I think one of the most validating things for me is like getting to work with on those sessions and seeing how these different Grammy-winning artists have how they write and how they create. You get a lot of that, or at least I got a lot of validation that the way that I come up with things and my processes really are not that far off from how they create.
Yeah, I was going to say that probably challenges them a little bit. Be like, whoa, I didn't think of it that way. That's something new you taught them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like it's Dutch door action, you know? That's great.
That's what I think as well.
There's a scene in the movie, Mind Over Matter, when we're in the studio and like Monkey and I were recording our song Prosthetic together live in the
Great
studio
tune.
with our producer Chris on drums. And
Yeah.
there's a section we got to the bridge part and Monkey was like, I don't know what to do here. And I kind of like took the reins and I was like, dude, you should come in and do like the classic off the wall, weird, creepy, like corn sounds from like the first two records, like the really scary sounding guitar melody. I was like,
And you
that's
can hear
what
it.
I hear.
Yeah.
And when that happened, everybody in the studio like sat back in their seats and they were like stunned that like for that moment the roles reversed and I took the reins and nobody could believe that here's this kid working with his hero of heroes and he's running the show. Nobody could believe it. I kind of I surprised myself with that one. I think it was just I knew what I wanted, and I went for it. And I feel like there's something to be said in that whole process.
Yeah, there's definitely a respect and a give and take in that point as well, and you can just see what a down to earth, humble guy he is as well. To be able to take those ideas on board and run with it as well. Tell us a little bit about that first EP, that self-titled EP, because it was a really cool EP, but also you had that first vocalist and you've kind of switched up vocalists to Alyce now, which is, I'll jump into as well after.
Yeah, we started the self-titled EP and we had our dude Mario Valadez on vocal. And, you know, a lot of those songs are just, you know, they always say you got your whole life to write your first record. You know, a lot of that stuff I'd been riff-wise, I'd been compiling for years, you know, and I just finally got it to a point where we were able to go in the studio with Chris Collier, the producer, and make
worked with him too, man. He's the man.
Yeah, Jim's worked with him. He's worked with some amazing artists, Chris Collier. Geez, as soon as you mentioned him, I'm like, I've heard that name before, dude.
Like, hell yeah, dude.
Bro, Collier is like the sixth member of the Mendenhall Experiment, and that's no bullshit.
That's cool.
Like he understands me as a guitarist, and he understands the sound of the band, what I want to accomplish writing wise, and where the direction needs to go, but he takes it that extra step, and he knows how much he can push me as a guitarist outside of my comfort zone to make me a better musician. And he's done that in every progression of the band. So I expect him to do that again on this next set of recordings that will hopefully we'll hit the studio with them again in 2025 sometime.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely do have some forthcoming stuff there. As I alluded to with Alyce coming in, fast forward to 2022, you kind of step up again in the sound. As that Against All Odds EP is an absolute beast of an EP, and Alyce's vocals on there are really, really good, man. Yeah, unreal, dude. And then that latest single as well, Bury Your Casket, that come out last year as well. It kind of has me all excited for what is to come for the Mendenhall Experiment. But before we get there, tell us about the Against All Odds EP and the Bury Your Casket single.
For sure.
Well, like you kind of led into it perfectly. I think the difference between the self-titled record and Against All Odds is that like two major things, right? Like the song structure and the song production, the songwriting, we took that to the next level. Like I feel like musically the songs are more advanced, they're a little more technical, they have a little bit more meat and potatoes to them, rather than just a straight chunky rock EP like we gave you on the first record. We wanted to, really step up and see if we could broaden our horizons a little bit. But we also had a lot to prove with that record. And I think that's where this title comes in, Against All Odds, because like we did the first EP, we had the Monkey feature on it, which was awesome. We have Danny Munger feature on it. He did the intro and the outro. So he's on the very beginning of a record, and then he closes the end of Find a Way song on the album. And then for the next record, we knew we wanted to not only step it up, but the first record kind of accompanied the movie and the whole unveiling and rolling out of my story to the public. And then after that, we got all this press. We were in Metal Hammer and like Revolver and
nice.
All kind of Metal Injection, Loud Water, all these crazy publications. And that it's like, I kind of felt like personally, like the industry didn't expect us to do another record. Like I kind of like it was like, oh, this story's cute, and all these guys, they stepped in to help him out, but like nobody really thought that we were gonna come correct with the second album. And then with Mario Fall Away, long story short, Mario had a family, and he had to step away and be dad.
Yep.
And we were okay, but we were like, dude, we gotta move forward. And rather than grab another male vocalist and try and replicate what he created, I was like, let's grab a female, let's bring in Alyce and do something different but elevate. It was all about elevation, but it was also like we kind of have the cards stacked against us. Like nobody thought we were gonna come correct with a second record. And then, then we changed vocalists. So it's like
you knew you were going to come out with another record. You knew what you were doing from the get-go. It's something you've probably, I'm saying that like, but within yourself it was something you've dreamt about and wanted to fight and strive for. Right. So the one record thing was never going to fly. And did that kind of put a fire in your belly, knowing that some of these people are like, oh, this is a cutesy little story, Brandon, and overcoming disability and playing guitar, and you're like, fuck you guys, I'm going to be doing more than, exactly, dude. I'm going to be showing you guys. And that's the thing, like with this Against All Odds EP, I know that she's working on something else as well, which I'm super excited about hearing, because as you mentioned, Alyce, having that not trying to do a carbon copy of what you were doing before, stepping it up as well, going, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep stepping this up, and we're going to be fucking here, and we're going to be playing shows, and we're going to be kicking ass. So fuck you and your cutesy little story.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. My overall statement is that like, we're here, we've established ourselves, and we're fucking here to stay. Like, that's it. And like, I'm just not gonna do one record documentary and disappear into the ether. I don't care if I have to change my band members 15 more times. The Mendenhall Experiment is going to stand and stand alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it does feel
it's your beast. It's your story,
If you brought up the skull, and I'm sure you're aware of like the skull is like our main logo, but it's kind of a symbolism of like unity in the metal community, but also like all of the stuff and I've kind of struggled through to overcome. But the skull reminds what I've been through, the hell I've been through, and the things that I've gone through to pursue this.
I see it as a sense of like unity. Yeah, there we go. you know, we're all the same. We're the same structure underneath, man. You know. Yeah, we all, dude. Ah, what it's like Wonder Twin powers activate.
So I
That's
know
cool.
I know you guys do have some stuff, and you're not kind of sure when it's releasing. Because I know you're pretty keen to get it out. And I know you can't mention when it's releasing because that's the hardest thing. Probably working with labels. If it was you, you'd be like, "Here's my song. Here's my song. Here's my song."
Right.
Well, there's nothing that I would be leaking to you at this point because the next single of the forthcoming EP, we've got a forthcoming EP. I can give you the name. It's called Chase and Go, and it will be out sometime in hopefully the summer. I'm hoping it doesn't push back to 2025. We have a little bit of a production setback. One of the final songs that has a feature on it needs to be remixed, and Chris is in the studio working with bands that I shouldn't name. So he's not gonna be available until like May or June to mix down that song. So we're like, okay, cool, we'll put out the first single, and that was saying it was supposed to come out on the 12th.
Yeah.
And we went through PR and everything, and everything was set to go, and the label pulled the plug at the last second. They put it on hold. So right now, I don't have clarification for you guys as to when it's coming out. I just know it's coming out soon.
You could really screw with them, Brendan. I've chatted. I know a couple of guys. I'm gonna have to mention my favorite Canuck, Matt Handchuck. You could be like, yeah, okay, then you wait to release that album. I'm gonna have the next 5-6 albums written, ready to fucking go by the time you're ready to release that one.
That's right.
You know, it's industry politics, and this one was completely out of our hands.
It is.
We're like, so like we were like, dude, we're on tour, so now we have nothing new to promote while we're on tour. Like, what the fuck?
What was the tour like, man? That was a pretty decent tour you were just on as well. How'd that go?
The tour was good. I mean, we signed on with Satellite Touring like 6 months ago or something like that. And they've been really good.
Oh, nice.
Scream at the sky. Scream at the sky.
Yeah,
man. That's killer.
Yeah.
I want that. That's a good looking shirt too, by the way.
We went out with Scream at the Sky, and those guys are super fun dudes, man. They like to party, they like to hang out, have a good, positive, upbeat time on the road. It was nothing but fun for like 2.5 weeks.
Awesome.
And the shows were good.
That's
so that's the number one thing. It's like the shows have to be good and the vibe has to be good. If you have those two things on the road, you can't lose.
And people need to buy lots of merch at said shows as well.
Yeah, we've got tons of stuff with Skull. So come get it.
Where's the best place people can head along and kind of support the Mendenhall Experiment, mate?
MendenhallExperiment.com.
Nice.
And for people that haven't seen Mind Over Matter, I know it is on YouTube for rent. You can go to SumerianFilms.com. There is a Mind Over Matter tab on that Sumerian website. You can buy physical film. I think you can even rent it digitally from there. It'll send you via link to where you can watch it. You want to watch it for free, go check it out on Crackle. You know, it was on in the States, but now they put it on in Europe. So it will cycle back around to the States. But right now it's on YouTube for rent. You can get it off the Sumerian website. And if you want to watch it for free, hit up Crackle.
Yeah, that's it. YouTube here in Australia is pretty odd. Jumped over there as well. I think it's like $6-7 to rent it and $10 to buy it. So just go bloody buy it, people. It's a killer documentary and very, very inspiring.
Is that where you guys are based out of?
I'm out of Australia. Jim's US.
Yeah.
Where are you based?
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in PA and
Yep.
you're in us. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
It is, mate. It's
You guys
crazy.
have
What was that there, Brandon? Sorry.
Yeah. Say
are
again.
we getting like?
Just
We had a little lag. Yeah.
I said, do you guys have up the time schedules?
Yeah, we
Oh,
do it around
yeah.
now. We do it around now. It
Yeah.
kind of works out all right. I actually met Jim doing an interview with him, Brandon, through Shauna. Set it up because Shauna represents Jim and his band there with Lenny and that as well, the band that Jim's in. So that's how I met Jim as well. Kind of and we've done a couple of interviews and then we ended up doing this
2 years ago. 2 years ago, in fact, I think yesterday was the first interview you did with me and Lenny.
Yeah.
And and then a year after that, he and I started this podcast. So or I joined, I'm sorry. As this we started
this new
incarnation.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Then what band are you in?
It's a band called we're called Lenny, Lenne. But he and I have a few projects together.
Nice.
But we're on Imagine Records. We work with, shout out to the boss, Mr. Morgan Rose from Seven Dust. So yeah.
So I guess I'll drop this little tidbit thing.
Yes, sir.
Since you're associated with Mr. Rose over there. So Morgan just signed my homies in Dirty Machine from I guess Dave lives in Missouri now, but he was like myself, signed Dirty Machine, and Dave came on, and that's the feature we're waiting on. Is David Leach is gonna feature on my last song on my forthcoming EP. He already did. He's waiting for it to be mixed.
Okay.
So
we work with the same. That's crazy, dude. What a small world.
It is.
I know, right? And shout out to Shauna for hooking it all up. I love her.
And Shauna, we trust, man. Absolutely.
That's it. And we'll leave it at that. Last word, shout outs, thank yous, Brandon. Anything you'd like to put in there, my friend?
For sure. Thank you guys, man. Thank you guys for taking the time and learning a little bit more about what I'm about, what we're doing, and what we have coming out.
Absolute pleasure. Hopefully get you later in the year and we'll talk more about the forthcoming EP. Brandon, thank you so very much, mate. You have an awesome day.
Looking forward to it, guys. Take care.
Cheers, brother.
Sir.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.